Welcome to the deep dive. So today, we're diving into the Trustee Election Handbook 2025 from Wolf Creek Public Schools.
Ah, yes. The trustee role. Important stuff.
Our mission here is to understand what a trustee actually does, and maybe more importantly, the impact they can have, and also what the job really involves day to day.
Yeah, getting a realistic picture.
Think of this as your efficient guide. You want to grasp the potential to contribute, but maybe without getting totally bogged down in all the procedural details.
Makes sense.
We'll focus on the positive difference trustees make for the schools, the students, the whole community, really. Then we'll touch on the workload involved,
Which can be significant.
definitely, and some important election dates if you're thinking about running, plus, where to find out more.
Sounds like a good plan. Let's get into it.
Okay, so that positive impact. The handbook kicks off by stressing how crucial the board is for, creating a good learning environment.
Right. It talks about fostering high-quality education, supporting students, helping them become leaders. It's foundational work.
It sounds pretty significant. How do they actually do that? What are the specifics?
Well, fundamentally, the board sets the direction. The handbook really emphasizes their governance role.
Governance. Okay.
So they establish the mission, the vision, the big strategic goals for the whole school division.
But it's not just about the big ideas, is it? The handbook mentions accountability, too, for student learning and managing the money.
That's about making sure resources, the money, the people are used effectively
For the students.
for the best possible student outcomes. Yeah. They're essentially stewards for the community.
Making sure things are run responsibly.
Exactly. So a lot of their positive impact comes from that careful oversight.
The handbook also mentions community engagement and advocating for education. Why is that so important?
Well, schools don't exist in a bubble, right? Trustees are the link.
Between the schools and the community.
Yes. They need to listen to parents, staff, local residents, find out their concerns, their priorities, and then they champion those needs.
So advocating for resources, things
Right.
like that.
Resources, support for education, maybe talking to different levels of government. It ensures the schools stay connected to the community and get the support they need.
So you can really see how a dedicated trustee or a whole board can have a ripple effect across everything.
Definitely. Their positive impact touches almost every part of the education experience.
Okay, that paints a clear picture of the potential impact. Now, let's maybe get real about what it actually takes to achieve that, the workload.
Yes, the commitment involved.
The handbook calls it a governance role, not management. What's that difference mean in, practical terms? What does a trustee actually do?
That's a really key distinction. Governance is about the big picture. Setting strategy, making policy, overseeing performance.
Not running the schools day to day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the superintendent and the administration's job. The handbook lists the trustee's main duties under this governance umbrella.
Okay, like what?
Things like long-term planning for the division, setting priorities based on student and community needs, establishing clear goals, making sure the system stays effective. So the work starts with that high-level thinking.
But it's more than just thinking, right? It mentions hiring and evaluating the superintendent. That sounds like a major task.
It is probably one of their most critical jobs. They also adopt the budget, deciding how money gets spent,
That's a big one.
and creating and changing policies.
The handbook also talks about communicating with the community. How does that fit into the workload?
Communication is vital. That might mean going to school council meetings, community forums, answering questions, building relationships.
Okay.
They also need to gather information themselves from lots of sources to make good decisions.
So research too.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have to handle appeals disagreements about policies or decisions. That can be complex and time-consuming.
Right.
And finally, they might lobby government, advocating for Wolf Creek's needs. So yeah, the workload is pretty diverse and demanding.
The handbook mentions board meetings usually the third Thursday morning each month, but then it lists a whole bunch of committees.
Yes, the committees. The main board meeting is just one piece.
What else is there?
Trustees serve on committees that dig into specific areas. The handbook lists things like the ATA negotiating committee, the audit committee for finances, a grievance committee, various liaison committees connecting with different groups, plus committees for community engagement, student review, health and action, even salary and wage review. Each one means prep time, meetings, follow-up.
And it doesn't stop there. There are external appointments too.
Yes, trustees might represent the board on provincial bodies, like the Alberta School Boards Association, ASBA, or PSBAA, the Rural School Board Caucus, TIBA for teacher bargaining.
So meetings outside the division too.
Correct. Contributing at a broader level, The handbook includes a sample annual board year plan, which really shows it's ongoing.
Not just those Thursday meetings.
Definitely not. Things happen all through the year, outside regular meetings, attending school council nights, hosting ASBA zone meetings, reviewing long reports, planning events, deep budget work, policy reviews. These can be daytime or evening commitments.
Okay.
It's really important anyone thinking about this understands the significant time commitment. You need a real passion for public education.
That's a very clear picture of the commitment. Okay, so for listeners who are feeling inspired, who see the potential impact and are willing to put in the work, what about the election details, key dates?
Right, the practical steps.
Yeah.
The handbook lays out the 2025 timeline clearly. The main date is Election Day, October 20, 2025.
October 20th, got it.
But getting on the ballot starts way earlier. The nomination period actually opens January 1st, 2025.
Wow, okay. New Year's Day.
And it runs right through until September 22, 2025. That's nomination day. And the deadline to get your papers in is noon sharp.
September 22nd at noon. So you can't just decide the week before.
No, definitely not. Another date to flag is the campaign disclosure statement deadline. That's March 1st, 2026.
Okay. After the election. And who can actually run? Eligibility.
Good question. Basically, you need to be eligible to vote yourself. You need to have lived in the Wolf Creek jurisdiction or the specific ward you want to run in for at least 6 months before nomination day.
6 months residency.
And you can't be legally ineligible for some other reason. The handbook gives an example. If you work for the school division, you usually need to take a leave of absence to run.
Makes sense. And the actual process, getting those nomination papers in.
You need the official nomination form. It has to be signed by at least 5 eligible voters who live in the jurisdiction.
5 signatures.
And you have to include your own written acceptance saying you're eligible and willing to serve. Then you have to physically deliver those forms, the originals, to the Wolf Creek School Division office in Pinoka.
6000 Highway 2A.
That's the one. And they stress, no faxes, no emails, original documents only.
Okay, physical delivery, important detail.
And you must specify which ward you're running in on the form. The handbook also mentions how you can withdraw your nomination later if needed. Okay, so the election happens October 20th. What happens immediately after for the successful candidates? Any key dates?
Yes, the handbook lists some tentative dates for the newly elected board. Board orientation is penciled in for Wednesday, October 29th, 2025.
Getting them up to speed quickly.
Right. Followed by the board organizational meeting on Thursday, October 30th. That's where they typically elect the board chair and vice chair. And then a board retreat is planned from the evening of Sunday, November 2nd to Tuesday, November 4th.
That sounds like an intense start. This has been incredibly informative, really breaking down the handbook. If listeners still have questions, or maybe they're considering running and need clarification, where's the best place to turn?
The primary contact is the returning officer for Wolf Creek Public Schools, Mr. Kevin Pabuda. He's also the secretary-treasurer.
Okay, how can people reach him?
His phone number is 403-783-3473. Fax is 403-783-3483. Email is kevin.pabuda@wolfcreek.ab.ca.
Perfect.
And remember, the handbook itself, the Local Authorities Election Act, the Education Act, those are the definitive sources. You can find legislation on the Alberta King's printer website.
Right, so just to make sure everyone caught that, if you have any questions, you can call the returning officer at Wolf Creek Public Schools. That number is 403-783-3437, or you can go to the website, wolfcreek.ab.ca.
Exactly. That's the best route for official information.
Well, thank you so much for walking us through all of that. It really clarifies the role of trustees and the whole election process.
My pleasure. It's important stuff for the community to understand.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this deep dive into the Wolf Creek Public Schools Trustee Election Handbook 2025.